All right, welcome back. This is Sun Up on Showbiz TV. It's now time for our Sun Up bulletins, and we're starting with Empress Gifty, who says Ghana hasn't got record label, so every musician is doing their own thing now. Gifty has voiced her concerns about the lack of investment in Ghana's music industry, specifically within the gospel sector. She has highlighted the absence of record labels in Ghana that are dedicated to supporting artists in terms of funding, production, promotion, marketing, and publicity. According to her, the lack of infrastructure and financial support is causing many gospel musicians to face significant challenges in their careers. She said, and I quote, we don't have record labels in Ghana. Do we have them? Gospel artists are doing their own thing. So we get so stressed because you're doing something and everything is coming out of your pocket. It is very dangerous and frustrating, unquote. She further emphasized that every gospel artist is left to their own devices, managing all aspects of their careers independently. She expressed the stress and frustration that arise when artists have to finance everything out of their own pockets, which can be both financially dangerous and mentally draining. And that is Empress Gifty. And I, of course, because she's in that industry, so she can only speak for them. But I realize she's saying gospel artists, gospel artists, gospel artists. And I wonder if it's just a problem for the gospel artists or the secular artists as well.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
First of all, are there record labels in Ghana? The record labels that call themselves record labels in Ghana, do they check all the boxes of what a record label should actually be?
It's you have a few of them.
Okay.
We do have a few of them. But as to whether they check all the boxes, I cannot say.
Yeah, but if you don't check all the boxes, then you don't qualify to be called a record label.
That's the thing.
Because if you're, if you're looking for the meaning of a word or the meaning of, something, it specifically states certain things that if you have half of it and you don't have the other half, you can't call yourself that. You know what I mean? There's a name for your half. Stick to that name. I mean,
Natalia, don't make me laugh this morning.
But it's true. If you're only offering half of it, I mean, you can be, you can a management team, something. Stick to your half, and don't call yourself a name that you can't, represent in its entirety. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you ask me.
I don't know how to put this, but really, just like Empress Gifty has said, a lot of them are going through a tough time. A lot of them are going through struggles to be able to keep themselves afloat. And just like any business would run, if you don't have the right environment to be able to operate, definitely you're going to suffer. You're going to go through a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. And if for someone who has been in the system for a while is telling you, voicing out what she's going through and what the situation is, you can imagine what it is for somebody who is now coming up. It's not fun. It's not exciting. And I don't know when investors would start coming to the table to show interest in helping to, let some of these musicians feel some kind of satisfaction in what they are doing. So you realize to a large extent that most of them are driven by passion to keep going. If not for the passion, probably they may have just, thrown their hands in the air and decided that, okay, look, it's enough. Let me just forget about it. But I want to use this opportunity to just plead with investors out there that if you see that someone is doing something good and you think you have the means to support them, to help them grow, I mean, it's just fine. It's just nice because as Ghanaians, we are supposed to be helping each other.
But in that case, then they are not investors. In their case, they're just helpers. Because an investor is looking for returns.
Exactly. But if you don't, yes, they are looking for returns. But definitely something must go for something to come. Are you getting it? I'm very sure that Empress Gifty must have put in a lot to get to where she is today.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, even though she may not have really reaped so much of what she has put in, at least she's realizing something. Are you getting my point? It may not be up to what her expectation is though, but at least, you know, gradually.
Yes.
You know, it's grinding gradually and
Yes.
it is getting there.
Yes.
But you realize that when you are doing something all alone, the effort you put to it, and when you have other people helping
When you have
you,
a team.
yes, when you have a team
Yeah.
to work with,
A team that you're not paying out of pocket.
you understand, it works better. Are you getting it? And that way too, it helps you also to know that, look here, at the end of the day, he is investing so much into what you are doing. So you need to also work on yourself and make sure that you give off your best. You put out
So
your
you
best.
can pay
so
them.
Exactly, so that the returns can come for them to also get their money back. Because I know in certain circles, some of the conversation is that in Ghana here, if you risk putting your money into creative, arts, you're just throwing your money away. Simply because sometimes some of the artists too don't prove themselves to be what is worth investing into. You understand? Because if you work so hard on yourself, you try to develop yourself, spend time in building your brand, crafting your brand and everything, and people enjoy what you are doing. It's like a flow of,
Also because a lot of creatives do not treat what they do as a business.
Exactly.
They only treat it as, it's just something I'm passionate about. I enjoy doing it. I'm doing it. They really never put, there's no math done.
Exactly.
With what they do. They never ask themselves, what it is. I mean, typically how much, and this one time I did this with my mom and I realized that she was getting frustrated, so I stopped. And I said that, okay, so typically how much would you make in a month? Okay, out of that money you make in a month, how much goes to this and how much goes to that and how much goes to that? You know what? Surprisingly, should anybody be interested in not even investing, but offering help to any of these artists, if you called them to ask them about their monthly expenditure and how what the breakdown is, they really won't have anything to show you or tell you. And that is the honest truth. They will not.
Exactly.
Half the time, they don't even know it for themselves. But you see, you don't expect somebody to come and help you when it looks like you yourself have no idea where you're going.
Exactly.
If you can't, let's do the math. Tell me, present to me what it is that you want to do, where you're going. Let me see the entire picture and understand what it means when I'm putting this in, what typically would come out of you maybe in a month or 2 months or whatever. Once I have that, I've been given that, what's the word I'm looking for?
Understanding.
Let's just say that. Once I've been given that, it will now I can make a sound decision based off of whatever you presented to me. But if you make it a very vague statement like, like I need to grow in what exactly do you want? Typically what was it kind of one you soon saying what do you doing and to me the be what do you doing? If you can't tell me that, you don't expect that I'll give you any money. So sometimes it's how seriously that the creators also take their craft that will tell on the kind of investment they get.
Exactly. It's all about how we package ourselves. Seriously. If you package yourself very well, it's just like anybody walking into a shop. If the item sitting on the shelves is not neatly packaged, nobody will want to look at it a second time. You understand?
Yeah.
So in as much as I do understand and appreciate the fact that creative artists lack funding and support.
Right.
The question is, how well are we packaging ourselves? How well are we preparing ourselves for the job market so that it would attract investors for them to be able to give us the kind of funding and support that we need?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you realize that to even work with some of these international record labels and brands outside, if they ask you to come up with maybe a budget of your routine, what you do.
Give me a budget for, I don't know, for the next 1 year.
Exactly. You realize that most of us will be found wanting because we haven't even kept records. And that is one area that to a large extent we lack. We don't keep records as individuals, and as collectively too, we do not like to keep records. So when you are asked a question to be able to come up with something like this, you start fumbling. You have no idea. You have no idea where you are going to even pull the information from to be able to put a meaningful budget together. But of course, those who know what they are doing, those who know exactly where they are going, if you ask them this question in less than 30 minutes or even an hour, they can generate a budget for you to see. And once an investor sees anything like that, you appreciate the fact that, oh, okay, this guy or this lady is really serious at what they are doing.
But you see, the other part is that you don't even need to do that yourself, as in you, the person. You can always find people to do those things for you or explain to you how these things work, But the bottom line is for you to have the knowledge that, I mean, typically, May studio, if I'm getting somebody who every month is giving me this, in the same vein, typically every month I can have like 3 gigs or whatever, and this is just me without maybe a management team.
Exactly.
In management team, I'll pay them this and that, but what that means is that they can actually get me more gigs.
Exactly.
Instead of 3, minya team ebe ko round that enya me ankasa ibe minya 10, and the 10 this is the minimum amount I into typically all things being equal, you 10 now. This is how much money we are looking to get. And percentage-wise, if you investor, 40, whatever. When you do the breakdown like that, it's exciting.
Exactly.
For the person you're speaking to, because then they are like, okay, I mean, definitely something I could look into. Sometimes it doesn't even work the way you envision it. Sometimes, but you see, the mere fact that you took the time to make them understand. It makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. Anyway, we can only hope for the best. Small.
Yes.
We will eventually get there. Small. We will eventually get there. Okay, so we're moving on, and Okyeame Kwame is in the news now. He says that High Life Artist of the Year should be given 100,000 Ghana cedis. Now, renowned Ghanaian artist Okyeame Kwame has called on organizers of music awards to recognize the efforts of High Life artists by awarding them a sum of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking in a virtual conversation, Okyeame Kwame noted that High Life music is one of the most difficult music genres, and most musicians shy away from doing it. According to Okyeame Kwame, High Life music is more difficult and more musical, requiring a level of sophistication than most musicians find challenging. However, he lamented that the genre has been undermined by an audience who are not sophisticated enough to appreciate it. He further stated that there's a need for more artists like Akwabo Kwame Eugene, Kitty, and Kobna to maintain the standard set by the pace setters. High Life music, he added, defines Ghanaians and depicts their culture and way of life. Okyeame Kwame called on organizers of music awards to recognize the efforts of High Life artists by awarding the winner of that category with 100,000 Ghana cedis. And How do I feel about this? I don't know how to feel about it because then if they are going to give money, it cannot be for just high life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That will
Yes.
be pretty unfair to the other genres, seeing as they equally put in work.
Exactly.
I don't think that making any kind of music is easy. You know, I don't make music, but I don't think making any kind of music is easy. And so maybe it should be a much bigger statement that says award winners should be given some money
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, in general.
But to single out high life
High life.
artists, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, for me, an award, for me, just a plaque does not mean anything
Right.
for me. If we are honoring or appreciating someone for the work they have put into something,
Yeah.
it must come with something substantial.
Right.
So that you know that, yes, really, whatever you have put into this thing is not just a piece of wooden plaque or piece of whatever that you are going to display either in your office or, in your house. Not just that alone, but it must come along with something substantial that you can be able to use as he has suggested. I don't agree with singling out high life alone, in as much as I'm also a high life lover.
Yeah.
I love high life because my mom and dad were both ballroom dancers, and
Okay.
they did a lot of high life dances, participated in a lot of high life competitions.
Okay.
Yes. So myself, I am born out of high life.
Okay.
So I love high life. But I don't think it's a fair comment to single out only high life artists. It must be a collective something. You have the Afrobeat, you have the, what do you call it, hip hop and, all that. They are all putting some effort into the kind of music that they are producing. So if his thing is that they must be appreciated in a better way, not just by, a piece of plaque as an award, then the money must come along as well, irrespective of the general music that you are churning out,
Yeah.
irrespective. And that way, I think it is also going to help the music industry, particularly for those who are in it. It is going to help them a lot because we hear all kinds of stories that, when they make the hit all over and people are enjoying the music and stuff like that, after some time, after some years, you ask about them and the kind of stories you hear, it's not too good. So if these awards will come with some big fat envelope for them to either invest it or use it in a manner that would help them get better pensions, then I think it's a good idea. It's a very, very laudable idea. Otherwise, then for me, there's no point. There's no point because you can't single out high life artists alone.
Yeah.
What about the others?
True.
I mean, they also come with their general music and they add some flavor because you realize that young people of today, they go along with the hip hops and the Afrobeat and and the stuff like that. Are you saying that those who are producing this kind of music shouldn't be appreciated in terms of money, or is that what you are saying? No, that's not fair. The fact that you are a pro when it comes to high life does not mean that the others who are providing other general music shouldn't also enjoy the goodies of winning an award. No. For me, I agree with him. It must come with money. Yes. But not just high life artists. It must be a collective thing so that every genre of music that every musician is putting effort into, at least if they finally get that opportunity to be awarded, they would feel good that, oh, the sleepless nights, the hard work, the this, the that has paid off eventually. And it makes you feel good about your own.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Absolutely.
And of course, God is interested in seeing us progress in what we do. He's interested in seeing that we are adding value to ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So if this suggestion will come in and the organizers of the awards would critically take a look at it and start doing something about it, see, it is going to change the face of music.
Yeah.
Trust me.
That will be nice.
Hey,
That
sika
would be
emoja.
nice. I know, that would be nice.
Sika emoja.
100,000. Come cry me koyenyo. Achina Peno, Missy Studio, Maya won't commode a brow raho, me family wanted dames row, with your don to my pat nebe frow, a home brastem pop what nebe shiao, tuntum say yo, why a crado, Messer Guano, Mawatium, wow, she or Penny, Kwame Sanseni. Echami kwame koyenyo 100,000 there.
Na mo face there. O di gina yi so na o yenyo mo a.
Turn on the microphone. Mix nyom no na yan Rosa, thank you so much for joining me on the show this morning. I have really enjoyed you. Hopefully I see more of you. And yeah, once in 2 weeks I did. Brag. Come on. Thank you so much. This is Sun Up on Shobiz TV. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Wear your heart on your sleeve and let's talk turkey on Shobiz TV. Whether it be religion or science, economic, social or cultural, or even entertainment. Is it mundane or is it monumental? Whatever the bone of contention, my unprejudiced discussants and I will disagree to agree on Talk Turkey. We top it up with an album, song, movie, or book analysis, discuss with a revered personage, delve into the art and science of music literature. High power!
Mysterious life, Nancy Drew shared no clues.
Or an electrifying live studio performance. I am the man at the helm, Robert Tene. See ya.
The Shobiz TV app is live on Android. Go to your Play Store, search Shobiz TV, SHOBIZ. Download the Shobiz TV app. Now open the Shobiz TV app. Tap on Shobiz TV live stream, which takes you to Shobiz TV Live. Tap on that, and you're set to watch Shobiz TV live all day and all night. Shobiz TV, beyond music.
They go see me for countryside.
Shobiz Top 10. Showing every Thursday on Shobiz TV.
Shobiz TV, beyond music.
Wear your heart on your sleeve and let's talk turkey on Shobiz TV. Whether it be religion or science, economic, social or cultural, or even entertainment. Is it mundane or is it monumental? Whatever the bone of contention, my unprejudiced discussants and I will disagree to agree on Talk Turkey. We top it up with an album, song, movie or book analysis, discuss with a revered personage, delve into the art and science of music literature, high power,
Mysterious life, Nancy Drew shared no clues.
or an electrifying live studio performance. I am the man at the helm, Robert Tene. See ya.
The Shobiz TV app is live on Android. Go to your Play Store, search Shobiz TV, SHOBIZ. Download the Shobiz TV app. Now open the Shobiz TV app. Tap on Shobiz TV live stream, which takes you to Shobiz TV Live. Tap on that, and you're set to watch Shobiz TV live all day and all night. Shobiz TV, beyond music.
They go see me for countryside.
Shobiz Top 10. Showing every Thursday on Shobiz TV.
The Shobiz TV app is live on Android. Go to your Play Store, search Shobiz TV, SHOBIZ. Download the Shobiz TV app. Now open the Shobiz TV app. Tap on Shobiz TV live stream, which takes you to Shobiz TV Live. Tap on that, and you're set to watch Shobiz TV live all day and all night. Shobiz TV, beyond music.
They go see me for countryside.
Shobiz TV, beyond music.
Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day. New hopes, new dreams, new ways. Open up my heart and I'm gonna do my part and make this a positively beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Let's make this so wonderful. Let's make this so powerful. Let's make this a beautiful day.
All right, welcome back. This is Sun Up on Showbiz TV. My name is Natalia, and this morning my guest is seated. Now, he is one of the, I think I can, with my full chest, say that he is one of the pioneer radio presenters in Ghana, and a lot of us listened to him from the very beginning. And his way of communicating and expressions, definitely something that has stayed with a lot of people. And anytime his name is mentioned, I'm sure two things come to mind for a lot of people. They're either talking his radio career or they're talking musica. Now, this morning I am privileged to have the company of Daddy Bosco in the studio.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Feeling great.
You're feeling great.
Yeah.
Are you still doing radio? Are you still on radio?
I do some radio. I do some stuff for Ahuto FM.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. You still have the groove. You've always had it. You've always had it.
To God be the glory.
Yeah, to God be the glory. So now let's talk about, let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
I asked you before we came on air that, do you know where I was in 97 when you started? Oh my God. That is such a long time ago.
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't even understand what it meant to be on radio. What got you into radio?
So I think as a child I was excited. In those days it was only GBC 1 and GBC 2. And I was excited. I think I particularly remember Joe Kofi. In those days they had some great morning guys. Joe Kofi, Charlie Sam, Joe Randolph, great guys on radio. So as a kid growing up, I was amazed at this voice coming out of the box.
Yes.
And I think that's where I fell in love with radio, and I thought, I also wanted to talk in the box.
Right.
Yeah, so in I think 95, when they liberalized the airwaves and gave licenses to private corporations and individuals to set up radio stations, Groove FM got a license.
Yeah.
And I chased them from then. And 97, when Groove came on there, I was part of the squad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who else was on the team? Who was on the squad?
Groove FM in those days, we had George Broon. George Broon was the head of programs. We had Parquet.
Okay.
And we had Ken Addy.
Okay.
We had Rama Brew. And we had Michael Smith.
Okay.
Albert Obu. Super Soul Sister, she later did YFM, Joko, Giles Boss, DJ Woodman, Charlie, we had guys, GI, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you did.
It was a squad.
It was a squad, and you brought a different feel to radio because prior to that, there was just, GBC radio.
Yeah, that's right.
So this was, it had a nicer feel to it. And
what it is even with Groove FM, Groove was started by a pilot, a young guy, and so every time he's flying to West Coast, East Coast, and he's bringing the latest music.
Right.
So that is one of the things that Groove FM stood out for.
Right.
Fresh, new music. Yeah.
Wow. Now, from 97 all the way till now, how would you say radio has evolved?
Okay, so radio has contributed to our national conversation in various ways. It is fostered development in certain areas, and in certain areas too, it has entrenched the polarization of our society. Because for most of the stations in the morning, all we do is bring NDC, MPP, and the person who is saying the craziest things, and you know what I'm saying. So that is one part that when I look at the development of radio, I'm hurt a bit, and I think it's about time the media changes tack and starts giving the people some different form of programming.
Yeah. Now, especially as a pioneer, what are some of the key qualities that you think a radio presenter ideally should have, in order to connect with their listeners?
Okay, so let me use Komla Dumo.
Okay.
Because Komla was the best guy around of his generation.
Right.
Komla started out wanting to do medical science, and then he switched to sociology, and he did a master's in public administration. So he had the breadth. Do you understand? What it is as a journalist, you're supposed to be interrogating all facets of society. So you need to have a certain broad mind. The other day I was telling some young people that, yes, it's good to want to, if you want to be a presenter or a journalist, it's good to want to go to journalism school. But I'd advise you that maybe you want to take a degree in maybe some science, ICT or something for your first degree. And then after that, you can then study journalism.
Right.
So for me, the biggest quality is an open mind, and then next to that is the breadth.
Right.
Because if there's a new discovery or there's an issue and you have to talk to a medical doctor, you need to have a basic understanding of medical science. If there's something and you need, it's a big story. For instance, Black Stars have either won the World Cup or something.
Right.
Sally, you have to talk Black Stars that week.
Yeah.
So it means you need to understand.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You need a certain broad knowledge and be open-minded.
And be open-minded. Yes. Okay, Natalia though. Sally is the
thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about how radio influences societal change and also public opinion, how it shapes public opinion. Because typically when you're listening to someone on radio, it's almost as though everything they say are facts.
Yeah.
It's just how people take it.
True.
So how is radio, or how has radio influenced public opinion and then also societal change?
So I'll start off with Rwanda.
Okay.
It was a guy who was sitting on radio and saying, kill the cockroaches. And he said it so much that people were indoctrinated. That's the power of radio.
Right.
So we need to know that, and let me use Seth. There's a kid on Joy FM called Seth something. He joined multimedia as a front desk executive.
Okay.
And he rose to become, I've forgotten the year, he won Best Journalist in Ghana.
Right.
And he was doing journalism for change, for positive good. He did a story that got the First Lady, Her Excellency Rebecca Akufu, to work with multimedia to set up, I think it's an incubator or something at KNUST.
Right.
That is the kind of radio or media we're looking for. Media that can impact society positively.
Right.
The other day, we were watching TV at home, and there was this story about the Indian railway accident. And my wife was saying something, and my son was, "Ma, you see why I don't watch TV? It's too much negative news."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is time we, the media, start advocating positively, highlighting the goods in society. Not, I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about the bad news.
Right.
But we should be telling a lot of good news stories.
Right.
And encouraging people. I was telling a group of young people that these days when I listen to some of the radio, Charlie, I feel like Ghana is dying. Like Ghana Yeda.
Yeah.
You know, like Bibia. But Charlie, we're supposed to be giving people hope, encouraging people, saying, look, if today is this way, you are part of the change.
Yeah.
Your generation, what can you do? So that's what media has got to do, build our society.
Right. And again, based off of your experience, what would you say to, people coming into the industry who just want to be amazing radio presenters, radio journalists? What advice would you give them?
Well, it's to put in the hard work. There, I'll use Abeku Santana.
Okay.
In 2003-ish or so, between 2003 and 2005, multimedia, we said we wanted a presenter who was, and using multimedia, we do a lot of analysis. So we finally identified the characteristics and qualities of that presenter we needed to drive Adum FM.
Right.
and we settled on Abeku Santana,
Okay.
and we brought him in. Now, when we brought Abeku in, Abeku was at this level, and he blew the city. However, he had the ability to reinvent himself and always learn. So, when we were at Dome, one thing people didn't know about Abeku was when he's in the studio, he has opened like 10 books. In those days when it was books, and he has underlined this saying. So, the amount of preparation and learning he puts in, that is, like I'll say, if you ask me that question, that's the kind of character. So that if you are in the media and you've attained a certain level of success, do not rest on your oars. I always tell young people or people in radio that you see the things you're saying and doing on the radio, there's a kid somewhere who is learning all you're saying and can come and do what you're doing. And he has developed stuff that you are not aware of. So when he comes into the game, he's going to blow you out because everything you do, he can do. And he'll do stuff you're not aware of. So you always have to keep learning. Never, look, the day you feel challenged, say there might be, that is the beginning of your end. Constant self-improvement.
Constant self-improvement. That is what Daddy Bosco says. Now, let's switch to the musical conversation.
Can I sip my
absolutely.
coffee? Yeah.
So, for the sake of clarity, what is the role you play at Musica?
So I'm the director of special projects and communications.
Okay.
Now, it's because I had given your producer my word that I'll come on the show. This morning, I'm supposed to be meeting a field officer. Music, we're going to do a project with the Ghana Skills Development Fund.
Okay.
And at 9 o'clock, I should be in the office meeting the lady.
Right.
I tell her 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Because for me, this is also part of the work, an
Absolutely.
opportunity to educate
Yes.
on what the union does. So I'm director of special projects and communications with the union.
Okay, great. So there's a lot of education that needs to be had when it comes to Musica.
Right.
In the last couple of weeks, there has been a lot of Gamro conversations.
Sure.
Pulling from this side, pushing from that side. It doesn't look like there is calm when it comes to Gamro, or we're told their license has been revoked and so many things happening. Delayed. Okay. So, but we won't have the Gamro conversation. We're having the Musica conversation. Give us some education on exactly what it is that Musica does.
Good. So Musica is the welfare association established in 1974, and then incorporated at the Registrar General's Department in 1975.
Okay.
The fathers who set up Musica felt there's the need for musicians to come together and protect their interests and cater for their welfare. So it was out of Musica that agitation started for COSGA, the establishment of the Copyright Society of Ghana. So in the early days, the leader of Musica was the head of COSGA, when all the copyright societies were one. That is basically what Musica seeks to do.
Okay.
Cater for the interests of musicians and protect their welfare. And we do these things through a number of activities.
Okay.
For instance, one of the things that we encourage musicians to do is to sign up to the insurance scheme the union has set up.
Okay.
We have an insurance scheme, a life insurance scheme with SIC Life.
Okay.
And basically, members are to pay a premium, an annual premium of 100 cedis. And the benefits they get include...
Annually,
you just pay 100 cedis.
Okay.
It's not even 10 cedis a month.
Okay.
And the benefits include payments in case of certain types of hospitalization. So maybe for a week you've been hospitalized, you'll get some payment. For certain types of incapacitations, for instance, you can't work anymore because of certain accidents. You get some payments, you lose your spouse, or you yourself, you pass on, your family gets something. This is a scheme that, because you see, for a long time, there's this story that musicians die poor. And we're encouraging that if you're doing this subscription to the insurance scheme, in times of need, the money might not be big, but at least it can assist.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that in the area of welfare the union does. In the area of advocacy, we work with various state institutions, NGOs, organizations to do advocacy work.
Right.
For instance, 2016, the union worked with Star Ghana to support their peaceful election campaign. You know, these opportunities give our members, or these avenues give opportunities to our members to do work. You know, I mean, those gigs do not pay fantastic commercial distance,
Right.
but at least it provides some jobs for the members. You know, so
Right.
these are some of the things that the union does in addition to capacity building.
Okay.
Because the music business is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Knowledge is now central to the business. You might have talent, but if you don't know, for instance, when I came in, there was a young guy who was social media guy.
Yeah.
You cannot be doing music right now if you are not social media savvy.
True.
So those are some of the trainings we give to our people so that they are abreast with the developments in the business.
Right. Okay. So, Musica is Musicians Union of Ghana.
Yes, please.
Now, is every musician under this umbrella?
No, you see, that is where you say in the beginning, more education has to be done. We have to appreciate that there is strength in numbers. As we speak, the union is the association that if certain organizations or the states wants to do something related to music, they engage us. It would be great if many more musicians join the union so that together we can protect our interests and then cater for our welfare.
Right.
However, it's work in progress. For instance, after the elections, I know that there's a plan to engage most of the A-list artists to work with the union.
Right.
Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that we don't work with them. We do stuff with them. For instance, during the COVID-19, many people do not know that Stoneboy donated quite a good amount of food and how do you call those things? The thing we were putting, sanitizers,
Right.
and those things to the union to share among members. Right after the death of Ebony, the union collaborated with Sarkodie to do a road safety campaign with the road safety organization.
Okay.
So we're working, only that
Right.
it could be better.
So, for instance, Stoneboy and Sarkodie, just because you mentioned them, are they members of Musica?
As the last check, their cards are not current, I have to say.
Right.
You know, but for instance, people like Uchiami, Kwame, and things, I know Kwame's card is current. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So in this case, what do you need to give them a reminder to like? Well, how does it work?
Yeah. You remind people that they have to renew their cards. Yeah,
Okay.
Sure.
So I've decided that I want to have a music career.
Yeah.
Okay, I go to the studio, do everything I have to do, get my song mixed, mastered, whatever. Radio, take it to the radio stations, they start playing. At what point does Musica come in for me? And also because, is it just that when I have like one single song, I'm entitled to join the union? I mean, what are the dynamics?
Good. So, when Boa became president, he said, look, let's expand the scope of the union. So we introduced student memberships.
Okay.
So student memberships are for people who are in educational institutions who have an interest in music and are learning. And then we also allowed for people who work in the music value chain to also join the because we believe that networking and association can enhance the careers of the members. So if you are an aspiring musician, you can join the union. If you're a practicing musician, you can join the union. For instance, many people do not know that about 4 years ago, Musica had what we call the Musica Incubator Project, where we had like 100 musicians. And they included Kwame Eugene, Kidi, Sina Soul, all those young people. And what we were doing was that periodically we'll bring an icon to engage with them the whole day. So they could ask any question, whether it was a Reggie Rockstone, an Ochiami Kwame, a Samini, an Obuo, Bessa Simons. And in addition to that, we were providing them with knowledge and training. So some of us were not surprised when out of that project, these young people are now doing well. And so there's that facility in place for aspiring musicians to be mentored and nurtured.
And nurtured. Okay, now, I think I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of musicians who, you know, blatantly say that they don't know what they stand to benefit from Musica. Because when you join the union, really, there's nothing there for them. Is that the case?
So I'll refer you to President John F. Kennedy. When he became president of America in the 60s, he said, it is time for us to think what we can do for America and not what America can do for us.
Right.
For me, I think it's important that musicians start to think, what can we do for ourselves?
Right.
I'm a member of the Charter Institute of Marketing in Ghana. And I'm proud to belong to the Charter Institute of Marketing Ghana.
Right.
It's an association of marketers. I have a sense of belonging when I meet my people.
Okay.
I'm a member of the Ghana Institute, Ghana Journalists Association, GJ. I gladly want to pay my dues. Last time I went to the secretariat, Charlie, what's the current? They told me. I'm like, yeah, Charlie, I'll sort it out. There is a certain sense of belonging and growth coming out from being together. Why is it that you cannot be a lawyer in Ghana practicing on a certain level if you are not a member of the Ghana Bar Association?
Right.
You cannot be a doctor if you are not with the Ghana Medical Association. I believe that over the next 5 years, the union will get to that level where eventually you cannot be a musician in, a serious, respected musician in Ghana if you are not with the union.
Right.
The union will have a lot of work to do to make itself attractive enough. But then the musicians will also have to appreciate that, Charlie, this is our family household.
Right.
This is our house.
Right.
Our family house roof is leaking. How do we fix it?
Fix it.
So that we can bring our friends who are lawyers and doctors and engineers and say, yeah, we too, this is our family house. That is where we will get to over the next 5 years.
Right, so it's just a sense of belonging.
Not just a sense of belonging, because like I said, so last year we did 2 training programs. We did one in Kumasi and we did one in Accra for 200 members.
Okay.
That training can be accessed elsewhere.
Okay.
But it will cost you a certain amount of money to access that training. Okay. The trainer is Spike, Kwabena Nkrumah. Kwabena Nkrumah does Cheek Squad on Joy every Tuesday night. He's a big influencer for Samsung. Okay. These are the guys who live and breathe social media. For you to get even 2 hours of Kwabena's time training, do you know how much you will pay?
Yeah.
But Musica brought him.
Okay.
And we're taking him around the country again to do Accra, Kumasi, and Tamale.
Okay.
This is a guy who, if he does training, I don't want to mention some of his clients' names.
Yeah.
So, if you're a member of a union, it's time to access this thing because these trainings we're doing is free. We're not charging the members.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and that brings me to. Does Musica have a website, an active website, where, so for instance, if I'm in Tamale or maybe I'm in the Western region and I'm looking to collaborate with maybe somebody in Tamale because of a certain sound they have or a certain instrument they play, does Musica or Musica's website precisely make it easy for me to connect with an artist in another region?
Okay. Currently, the website doesn't have the facility, but as a member, what the member would do is reach out to that region and engage with them. So, for instance, a member in the central region or western, like you're saying, wanting to collaborate with somebody in the northern region or upper west, would get in touch with either his or her organizer or chairperson or a member of the executive and say, this is what I want to do. And then that executive or leader would engage with their counterpart in the other region and facilitate the process.
So you are able to make these kinds of collaborations happen.
But I think we'll take a cue from what you're suggesting, so that we're currently in the process of giving the website a facelift.
Right.
So
what exactly is on the website? When should I go on there now? What would I see?
Oh, it's a standard website, homepage, about us, events, stuff like that. Standard
so it's
website.
pretty standard.
Yeah, pretty standard.
All right.
But like I said, we're in the process of giving it a facelift.
Right.
We're working with the Professional Musicians Association of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria is like a big cousin, whether we like it or not. Their population gives them that capacity.
Right.
So we're working with them. They've gone down that road, and I'm sure by the end of this year, a revitalized portal for the union would be available. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's very nice to know. Now, let's talk about, in general, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about Musica?
So my biggest misconceptions about Musica is that the union is for old people.
Is that the case?
It is not.
So there are young people?
Oh, but everybody knows Obuo was the president of Musica.
Well,
Tic-Tac was the chairman of Greater Accra.
Right.
I was just talking to the secretary from Eastern Region. He's a guy who is still in university.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So, like he said, it's some of the misconceptions.
Right.
And
but are there more older people than younger people? Or there's a fine balance?
I think currently, off the top of my head, if I look at the National Executive Council, which is composed of chairman and secretary from each region, the average age there would be like 40-something.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
40-something.
So that's quite the misconception. Because
That's
we're
right.
sitting back thinking that there are 70-year-olds.
No. And that's why I said, look, from the time of Dinah Hobson, Hobson was president when I think she wasn't even 40 years.
Okay.
Because Dinah was 50, I think, 3 years ago.
Okay.
And Dinah was president of Musica like, 12 years ago.
Right.
So if she was 50 a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
she was in her late 30s when she was
Yeah.
president. After that came Obuo.
Right.
Obuo was 30-something when he was musical president.
Yeah.
I think he's not past 40-something as we're speaking now.
Right.
You understand? So it's a misconception that people have to clear. And I will admit that the union will also have to do a lot of work in that regard
Yeah.
to change people's
To change
conception.
people's.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So seeing as, being in Musica over the years, what would you say are some of the difficulties that generally in Ghana musicians face? Because you house them.
For me, I think, okay, let me say this. Live music was big in Ghana. Then in 81, there was a coup, no, a revolution, whatever you want to call it, and there was a curfew. And the curfew lasted for quite a number of years. What it meant is that life stopped at 6 o'clock in Ghana for a long time. And you know, musicians, we work after hours. So it affected live performance. And live performance is one of the mainstays, one of the main revenue earners for musicians. From that time till now, live performance is just rebounding. So you have a few venues where people can perform live. The presidential summit that was held recently, one of the suggestions the acting president, Mr. Simons, made was that all hotels and restaurants of a certain size in Ghana should have venues and equipment for live performances so that musicians can get an opportunity to work, to earn money. Currently, the biggest difficulty in the business is to make that transition from analog to digital. While revenues are growing for streaming, if you look at the global numbers when it comes to streaming revenues, Ghana is not making that much. So for me, the state has to provide a certain enabling environment so that people who have hotels and restaurants of a certain caliber can invest in live performances, because they know once they're doing that, they will get tax rebates.
Yeah.
You know, business people, they don't do anything for anything. But if a hotel knows, look, if I have a 5-piece band in my hotel and we're doing this, I'll get this tax rebate, they will do that. So for me, the state needs to take a different look at the creative art space. Let me say this quickly. A couple of years ago, South Africa was the biggest economy in Africa. Then Nigeria rebased its economy to factor in the contribution of the creative arts to their GDP. You know what happened? Suddenly Nigeria became the #1 economy in Africa. So if the state appreciates that, look, we can get a lot more from our creative arts.
Right.
They would put in look at what they're doing for soccer. Because maybe we get bragging rights and branding exposure and things.
Yeah.
Government was able to take $5 million to one World Cup.
Yeah.
Charlie, that $5 million is put in the creative arts. Look at what could happen.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the state needs to do a little bit more to create a better environment for
Right.
creatives to work here.
Right. And you mentioned the acting president, Mr. Simons.
Yeah.
When is elections?
8th of August.
8th of August.
Yeah.
Where?
It's nationwide, so every card-bearing member of Musica that is duly paid up can vote wherever they are. So the election will be held in all the 10 old regions. So from Wa to what you call it, there will be elections to Ho in the Volta region.
But in a day's work.
Yeah. Because what's happening is we're having the regional elections at the same time as we're having the national elections. So if you're a voter and you go, they will give you the ballot paper for the region, and then when you finish that, they give you the ballot paper for the national. Yeah.
Right. So who are vying for president?
Currently for president, you have Rascale Bapia, Deborah Freeman, and Bessa Simons.
Okay.
Yeah.
There have been speculations that the election may not be fair. So you were in court for a minute. Why were you in court?
So initially, it had to do with the voters register initially, and then there were issues with how do I put this? All kind of spurious allegations. That's what I'll say.
What were
Spurious.
some of the allegations?
Oh, I don't want to even because this was 4 years ago and it was thrown out.
Right.
Do you understand?
Okay.
And then
But who took you to court?
Rascale Bapia.
Okay, he's vying for president.
He's vying for president.
Okay.
And then some guys from Deborah Freeman's team also took the union to court.
And these are all members of Musica?
Yeah.
Just members, or did they have any particular positions in Musica?
So Ras was is the acting chairperson of Greater Accra.
Okay. Was he at the time he took you to court?
Yeah, sure.
And
one of the reasons why the judges adjudicated in favor of the union was that the union has a constitution which says issues should be addressed by the arbitration committee.
right.
And I think in those days they didn't go through the committee.
Right. I was actually just coming to that because
sure.
I mean, I don't see how I'm part of the union.
Yeah.
I'm taken to court, and we can't have a conversation about what is troubling us.
That's right.
Isn't that a bit strange?
And so that is why the judges in their own wisdom said, look, this is what your constitution is saying.
Right.
Go and do the right thing.
But doesn't that tell us on the outside that there's no unity amongst?
Okay, so let me say this. Even in families,
Right.
when it comes to leadership, human sentiments come to the fore.
Yeah. True. I mean, I fight with my mom more than anybody, but we always present a united front. We will fight in the background. Nobody gets to see that. But when we're out, it is a perfect picture. And I think that's just how it's supposed to be. So for him, you know, as a member, having his issues to look over everybody and take a step to take you to court. I mean, that's a bit much, wouldn't you say?
We've crossed that bridge.
Okay.
We're treading onto the promised land of
Okay,
elections.
so on 8th August, we're hoping so everybody who gets to vote is a member
paid
and
up.
has paid up his dues to...
It's current.
It's current. So if you haven't, you can't vote.
Because music, we have over, I think, 5,000 names on our books.
Right.
But when it comes to elections, you should have paid your dues for the past 2 years.
Okay.
At least.
At
past
least.
2 years.
So, but how would you know?
Oh, the books are there.
So if you're coming to vote...
So what we've done is we've reopened the register for people to go and check whether you are up to date.
Okay.
And they have up to 15th of June.
Okay.
So after 15th of June, the election committee will release the final list.
Of people who can vote.
Who can vote, yeah.
Okay.
So you will see your name.
Okay.
Whether you're eligible or not.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. You know, when it comes to music, you know, there isn't much confidence on this side. You know, I don't know if it's because you have not been deliberate about giving education to the ordinary Joe on the street, what it is that you stand for. Because anytime there's a mention of music, people are, whatever, you know?
Okay, so what it is that is why I said that over the next 5 years, musicians have to appreciate that each family has a house.
Right.
And it is the members of the family who built the house.
Right.
You can't expect outsiders to come and build your family house for you. And so it is time musicians start asking Charlie, what will they do for the union? How will they help the union make the union help the next generation? Because you see, a lot of times ignorance, I sit back and I listen to people, and Charlie, they know they pay our royalties. Oh, music, I know they pay your royalties. So there are people even in the space who don't, excuse me, know what time it is in the industry.
Because you haven't given them the education.
Oh, you see, when the teacher is ready, or no, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I told you the union has been in existence for years. And in our own way, we're working. We're working. You see, they say if your rival doesn't like you, no matter the dance you dance, you know what I'm saying? So there's work to do. I totally agree. But I think people in the space have to also be prepared to do their bit.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So on the back of recent happenings, and I think you also mentioned it early on, that a lot of musicians die poor. And there has been so many conversations about it. I think part of the, you know, recent back and forth between Akosua Japan and Gamro kind of sort of started off the back of Senior Akwabwa dying and the fact that, you know, some monies were not given to him that were supposed to be given to him, and it's just a back and forth. With all of that happening, what is it that Musica, and this has nothing to do with royalties, this is just the union, housing musicians, what are some of the steps that you're trying to take to make sure that, you know, in the very near future, some of these will tone down a lot more?
Good. That's a very, very good question. So we're monitoring the Gamro situation closely. We've had engagements with the current leadership, and over the next 2 weeks or so, the union will make certain interventions. We believe strongly that on the merit of the facts that we have now, the AG should go ahead and release the license to Gamro,
Right.
allow them to proceed to have substantive elections, and then go on to do, because there's a lot of plans in place to support Gamro to get the necessary software. That is one side of the story. Then there I come back to the state again. The state has to play its enforcement role. Because currently there's a lot of piracy going on. There's a lot of default where media organizations, institutions are using music and they're not paying their royalties. So apart from the state giving the license to Gamro, they have to work with them to ensure the enforcement. And then the third one is to bring our copyright laws abreast with the times. Now, about 5-6 years ago, Gamro could get blanket levy of about 2.5 million from government. Currently, the blanket levy, I understand the last time they got 50,000. You know why? Because people are not bringing cassettes and CDs into the country anymore.
True.
So you need to amend your law so that you factor in mobile phones, all these gadgets that people are using to record music and listen to music now. So there's work to do, and we will see how we can work with all the stakeholders to ensure that the right things are done to improve the lot of musicians and right owners. Yeah.
Right. When you were on radio, did you have a login system?
Yeah, I remember in the days in Groove FM, they would make sure that you write all the songs you play.
Yeah.
But then by the 2000s, I realized the system changed.
Right.
And for me, I thought it would have even been easier to log, because now, depending on the software you're using, you can be able to publish the works, the music you play. You
Yes.
just print it out or export it to a certain file
Yes.
to demonstrate what you played. So I think logging should be relatively easy.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen though.
That's why I'm saying that, you see, there's a gap in the law,
Right.
which does not make media organizations feel like we are obliged to pay. A few years ago, when the Ministry of Communication was looking at the broadcasting bill, they invited stakeholders, and one of the suggestions Musica made was that the Ministry of Communications, because they control NCA, they should put it in the what we call the regulations, that if you go for a renewal of your license to operate as a radio or TV station, you should demonstrate that you've paid your licensing fees to Gamro over a period of time to qualify. If they look at your papers and, Charlie, who did Gamro car, they shouldn't renew for you. You know, so that's the kind of institutional support the system needs to ensure that all parties play ball and Gamro gets to work well.
Okay. Now, all things considered, what are we hoping for Musica? What is the hope? What do I mean? Give us some projections in the next 5-10 years. What are we going to see?
In the next 5 years, you're going to see a vibrant union that is protecting the interests of musicians and catering for their welfare. By this, I mean you see a union that is running schemes that is allowing musicians to pay certain premiums and reap certain benefits. You see a union that is providing adequate capacity building for its members so that they understand stuff. I'll tell you a quick story. I was told by a big musician that his music is on YouTube, and by Charlie, they get the money. We recently, then one of these sessions we did after Spike, then he showed them how you can even write to YouTube and prove that you are the owner of the work, and the works will be taken down. So the union will continue to provide our people with the knowledge that will allow them to stay relevant and earn their due from what you call it. And then also, we should look at a situation where music as an institution is contributing to society.
Right.
I was having a chat with somebody, and we're talking about a certain guy and his academic performance, and we're saying that, and I was telling them that, you know why this guy is very smart? Is because he learned music when he was a child.
Right.
One of the things that the union is advocating for is that music should be brought back into the curriculums of our schools. Currently, it's only some private international schools who teach music at that level.
Yeah.
I go to the School of Performing Arts and I see people holding guitar for the first time in a university. Oh,
Yeah.
Charlie.
Well,
Why?
that's better. I've never held a guitar.
But don't you think if, for instance, government says once you're in primary school, you should learn music, and Magai, the laboratory, recently donated like how many flutes to schools in Accra. Panji will tell you that music should be the easiest thing to teach, because if you go to Nungwa, there are traditional drummers who can come and teach the children how to play drums.
Yeah.
So he's saying that, look, to teach music in Ghana, unless we are thinking piano and guitar, but if it's at Entembeng or Dondo, we have the instruments,
That should be easy.
we have the teachers.
So practical music. I learned music in school, primary school, but we didn't do practical music. We did theory. We did theory. So, you learned all the different notes. I could actually draw the notes and all of that. But I can't play any instrument to save my life.
Look at that.
So that is something that we're looking. It's part of the projections for the next 5-10 years. All right, Daddy Bosco, what would be your last words? As speaking for Musica, what would be your last words?
What I'll say is that the state has a crucial role to play. You see, in Ghana, when we're talking development, we're thinking maybe medicine, engineering, those things. Yesterday, I was talking to the Minister of Grand Bahamas from Bahamas. And you know what she's looking for? To collaborations with Ghanaian musicians and African musicians.
Okay.
So she asked me, Musica, can you people arrange for us to get Burna Boy? Minister from Bahamas. Bahamas is one of the biggest economies, because they're small, but they got money from their tourism, the American things. And this minister comes to Ghana, and he's thinking, how can I collaborate with musicians? For some of us, we will want the state to appreciate that Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was not traveling with E.T. Mensah and the rest around the world for nothing. It was to push high life. Currently there's a move by the powers of the world to deploy soft power, and they're using their culture. America, so I'm wearing jeans. Most of your people in this room, they are wearing. You know where we learned it from? From the movies and the music. It makes us think, America, they be you. So if our state realizes that our creatives can be veritable ambassadors for our country, they can put our country in a positive light.
Right.
They'll put more support in the creative space, and we will benefit. Our kente, that is won by senators in America and representatives in America, will be respected, and we will stand to leverage and gain the benefits. So I think the state has to respect the creatives a bit more and give them the support they need. Those are my thoughts.
All right, Daddy Bosco, thank you so much for joining us on Stand Up on Showbiz TV. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I think I have more knowledge on Musica, and maybe the next time I have an artist coming through, I'll give them a little education.
Please do. Thank you.
I'm an ambassador. Thank you so much for coming to the show. This is Stand Up on Showbiz TV. So help us God, we're coming your way again tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your wet morning. Be safe. By all means, carry an umbrella, a raincoat, whatever it takes, just so you can go and come back home safely. My name is Natalia. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning.
Early in the morning, it's the dawn of a new day. New hopes, new dreams, new ways. I open up my eyes and I open up my mind and I wonder how life